So I will start with the fact that the situation in the eastern part of DRC has in no way affected the flow of investments into Rwanda. I think I will use facts to start with. In 2024, the latest data, we grew by 32% our registered investments to nearly 3.2 billion from a base of about 2.5. So I will start with the fact that the situation in the eastern part of DRC has in no way affected the flow of investments into Rwanda. And that's a fact, so we could share the data if needed. Now, as to why, I think and it's been highlighted in many of the communications that were shared by government, is that we've taken defensive measures, to make sure that the conflict never spills into our territory. And that has provided the reassurance, including the investment in the security architecture, in creating a safe country. Those measures, the security that continues to exist in Rwanda, has really gone a long way in reassuring investors that Rwanda is safe, despite what might be happening in the eastern part of DRC. But that was before. Looking forward now, we are on path towards the situation is very much normalized. The Nairobi process and the Rwanda one were collapsed into one that is now managed by the AU. There was at some point the EAC, and then the SADC was involved. The two were collapsed into one, merged, and now managed with the AU. The US with the signing of the principles of agreements. The path forward is much clearer now, and those fears, if they might have existed, are in the past. The Rwanda Development Board has multiple mandates, but one of them is to operate a one-stop center that brings together parts of 24 agencies and provides in excess of 400 services and different licenses and permits. So as you can imagine, the whole idea was to create a seamless experience for the investor. And the word goes around. People get to know that when you operate in Rwanda, when you open a business, there is predictability in terms of the regulatory environment, there is sanctity of contracts, what is said is what gets done, there's minimal red tape. So I think what you saw over time is initially we had to tell our story, but increasingly investors themselves are telling the story for us. So what you saw this year is a 30% jump in registered investment when compared to 2023. But the approach has more or less been the same, addressing regulatory issues, looking at the pain points that make the life of the investor difficult, issues of land permits, or land titles, construction permits, electricity, energy. We look at it as a whole, and then we tailor our services to make their experience as seamless as possible. There are certain sectors that we target: real estate, agriculture, where we try to raise productivity, tourism, of course, manufacturing is a big sector. But I think if you were to tell me one thing, it's that Rwanda's unique selling proposition is becoming increasingly clear. You will have a regulatory environment that is conducive, that is predictable, and that will allow you to do business the way you want to do it. They have to grow. It's a known fact, the world around, that it's very difficult for companies to survive. So we are now tracking the survival rates of our companies. We are looking at reasons why and what they need to grow. Let me start with the owners of the project. It's a partnership between the government of Rwanda through the Rwanda Development Board, Africa 50, and Badea. It's a $300 million project that spreads over about 60 hectares. And the whole idea is to create a cluster of knowledge institutions, research institutions, center of excellence, universities, and we've already managed to attract several players. Carnegie Mellon in IT, we've attracted the Africa Leadership University, we have several centers of excellence. We've got companies such as BioNTech and many others. So the idea is to create an environment where a hub where knowledge grows, is shared, powered by state-of-the-art infrastructure, high-speed internet connectivity, and that brings together some of Africa's biggest talents, and that joins the like of Nairobi and Johannesburg as a center of excellence, a center of knowledge. The project is progressing really well. So by 2024, that's what Kigali Innovation City will look like. It will be the laboratory through which we power Rwanda's innovation culture. And actually not just Rwanda, Africa's. We want to continue to widen access when it comes to energy, but also telecommunications, reduce the costs. We are continuing to invest in connectivity issues. So those are the structural ones. In addition to that, what we are doing in the immediate, some of the pain points that we intend to tackle, is we've already done a lot in the digital front. But as you can imagine, digitization is a process of continuous improvements and iterations. You have a set of technologies, a new set comes in and changes the dynamics and the expectations from the investors in terms of service delivery. So if I was put aside the infrastructure, the structural issues which we're working at and will solve eventually, and rather quickly, the access to finance issue, affordable capital, the next stage is really taking the one-stop center and really automating every part of how it functions. From the issuance of land titles, the provision of construction permits, to the way we interact with the investors through the use of generative AI and escalation mechanisms where human intervention comes in after. Because this is the Rwanda of 2025. We no longer need to tell the story. People are coming to us, So we're facing a situation where it's no longer enough to just add additional people to maintain the service quality that we're aiming for. And the next stage is to digitize to a level that is at par with international standards. President Kagame is definitely a role model when it comes to economic diplomacy, the world around. So what we do at the Rwanda Development Board, and it's not just us, but more or less the entire government architecture, is to deploy that vision into actions across the world. So for example, let me take the economic cooperation front, and let me speak only for RDB. We work very closely with our embassies, our commercial attachés, to work on the creation of bilateral cooperation programs, South-South, but also with other partners across the world. So we invest a lot in deepening our linkages with the embassies the world around. That's one. And we target and we structure our investment outreach around that, with a view of realizing this global vision of positioning Rwanda as a global hub for investment, for tourism and innovation. So the underlying thinking, the common denominator, is almost always positioning Rwanda as a global hub for investment, tourism, innovation. So Rwanda is a pioneer, is a champion of regional integration. We pushed and supported the creation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We are a member of COMESA. We are a member of the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa. We're a member of the East African Community. So that's another area where we very often lead by example through the execution of rules. Rwanda Development Board stands on this is that there's actually no tension between. There is some to some effect, but we believe that you can't really develop if you don't do it in a climate smart way, because you're just really kicking the can down the road. The problems will eventually happen after. So we're very particular in making sure that our infrastructure investments, especially, are climate smart, taking into account the necessities of protecting the environment, because it's a public good. If you don't, then you usually have indirect impacts that affect your local population and so on. So we are very deliberate in making sure that our investments are climate sensitive, climate smart, and help us create this sustainable future that we're aiming for. It's the very reason why we banned the use of plastics and why we're constantly investing in educating our population on the benefits of protecting the environment. And it touches on at a bigger level to some of our value systems, but including the concept of loving your country, your land, the environment that you're developing. There is a symbolism that comes with protecting the environment that we take very seriously.